Hello, folks. How's it going? Just gonna play with the camera because even though I make sure I have it perfect before I go live, it always needs to be slightly readjusted. Is it me or is it an angle? I can't tell. And you know what's gonna happen if I play with it? I'm gonna it's gonna go beep and just stop airing. So I'm just gonna stop playing with it and we'll make do as we go. And I want to thank you all to my latest Sunday Night Live show on this time on Saturday morning cartoons. And we already have our first guest. Tracy Roth Myers is with us. Says hi. Robert Lance Chafin says hiya. Thrash. John Doe says I'll be Bach. Yeah, I'll be Beethoven. Tug says hello. Looks like I don't need my ghost to haunt the chat today. Don't worry, I have enough ghosts haunting my chats. Keith E says Peter Hippopotamus holler. Holler. Holler Peter Hippopotamus in the house. Um, so he actually does get at least one mention, or at least he's associated with at least one cartoon I have. I do have a trivia game tonight. It is again multiple choice. There will, in fact, be hints involved. And I actually tested this one on Mrs. Thrash, and she loved it. So if she loves a trivia game, hopefully you guys will as well. She's smirking at me right now, but give me a thumbs up. She just finished making her everything bagels, probably the power is blinking. Cindy D is in the house. Says hello everyone. Lance Javen says hey a tug. A lot of people saying hello to each other. It's the whole fellowship thing that I'm so known for. Hey, I got 8 people in the house and only one like. We can do better than that, people. Keithy says, are there any secret spy words embedded in your answers? Only the beautiful mind will be able to tell you that one. Let's just see. Jimmy Neutron. Hello once again. Neutron John. That's why I call you Neutron John. Shut says 2 legs. I was second. Yo, D man. Oh, by the way, this is maybe this is something I can learn about when I take my computer course. You got many of you saw my update, and thank you so much for leaving your responses. Here's the weird thing: there were a couple of glitches in that one as well, and here's what I think happened. Normally, when I record in the bridge, I don't send it until I come up here. I sent that one downstairs because I was running late. I sent it in the bridge, and some glitches that weren't in the playback when I replayed it, because I actually replayed that one before I posted it. I usually try to just to double check my own work, but I didn't in that. I did in that case, and there was no glitches. Honestly, I think because I sent it from my garage. I think it gigged a little. So let me know how the picture and sound is at the moment, by the way, and we will take it from there. Cindy D liked, you're my hero. Lance Chafin the third like. Cindy D says, the bridge, LOL. I don't know if I didn't tell you that story, and when I tell you this story, I'll tell you the other one. I when I set up my garage to be my man cave, and in fairness, I offered it to all the lady folk in the house first. None of them wanted it. My wife quasi used it as a laundry room, but but for the most part, it is of course my den. And of course, I used Harlan Ellison's The Valley of Obsolescence because it doesn't have cable. It has old style console TVs. Because I call it The Dragon's Back and a few other names. But the one that really stuck was The Bridge because, as you people know, not only am I a huge sci-fi buff, I am also a huge war movie buff. And one of my credos with war movies is any war movie with the word bridge in the title is a good one. And of course, in sci-fi, it's always the bridge. Get me to the bridge. We have to get to the bridge. Find the bridge. Particularly in Star Trek, among others, anything space opera with spaceships. So calling it the bridge just seemed poetic. Oh, and also Cindy. Yes, a girl I went to college with. Her name was Kim. She was on Zoom. Cindy D asked me to discuss at some point today Zoom, even though in my area that aired on weekdays. I don't know if some places showed it on Saturday mornings, but I remember catching it when I got home from school, and actually watching it before I went to school too. But yeah, that was for those of you who don't know, Zoom was a kid show filmed in Boston at the local PBS station, WGBH, if I remember correctly. And it ran from like 1966. Well, they kept bringing it back, so I don't even know. It may even still be on. I don't know. But it ran through the 70s. And a girl I went to college with named Kim was actually one of the Zoom kids. And at the end, you could always submit cards or letters or little short stories to them. And they would sing the address, box 341, Boston, Mass. 02134. Send it to Zoom. I can't believe I still remember that. But anyway, so yes, Cindy, that's the other story that I promised you. Let's just see. Having pontificated long enough, I seem to have fallen behind a little bit, so I'm going to try to catch up. Zuplex in the house says, "Good evening." Sean Innes says, "Hey, Lance." Tug says, "Did you get copyright dinged over Kung Fu Fighting?" No, because it wasn't. I'm guessing because it wasn't the original. It was altered. Although I've heard crazier things. Crossing the Door says better AV quality. I'll take that as a good to go. Let me know if it changes. Zuplik says the picture and sound are great, and considering you're the toughest person on my network to satisfy, that's very, very good. Tug then goes on to say, agree loud and clear. Your connection must be much better upstairs. Well, it is. The modem is on the other side of that wall. Actually, yeah, that one. I'm backwards. Yeah, the side of that wall. Actually, where I used to do my posts, that's actually right where the personal computer is. So this draws from that modem. So I'm guessing that has something to do with it. Keith E says, hit that like button. Also, Hungry Jerk is listening. He can't be here tonight if you remember his comment. Yes, he's working tonight. He's working in the kitchen. But hey, shout out to Tom the Hungry Jerk. Glad that you're with us in spirit. Jimmy Neutron says, Thrash, I was thinking when you get back to doing recaps, why not do forgotten TV movies of the 70s? A capital idea. I was actually, it's so funny. I don't know if any of you saw Tug's retrospect on Inseminoid, but one of the things that has been long debated is whether or not it was a ripoff of Alien. There's another one with Chad Everett and some other people whose names elude me for the moment, but it was called The Intruder Within, and I don't know which one's it's a ripoff of more, Alien or Sevenoid. But anyway, that would be great because they made a lot of really, really cool, if not low budget and hokey, made for TV movies in the 70s and early 80s. Zublik says, hate war movies because they are too fake. They really are. They really are. I have been binging The Facts of Life on Tubi TV. It was a great show. Can't blame you. Oh, let's see. Oh, a lot of people love Zoom. Oh, I just saw Danny Staten's in the house. I have to go back. There's some other comments prior to this, but I have a sin of omission. I feel that I must um, unburden myself with. When I was talking about a lot of my channel supporters, I cannot believe I did not. Now, of course, I know any of you who are here tonight know our good friend Dan, know all of his channels, know all the quality work he's been putting out. So it goes without saying, yet I still feel like I have somehow missed the mark by not mentioning to him. Of course, Danny Staten is literally, I think he's my biggest supporter. In fact, one of the first things I thought of when doing this computer course was I'll finally have the technology and the know-how to actually have guests on the show. And of course, whom did I promise first? Months ago, Danny Staten, who's been waiting very patiently. He's probably abandoned hope. But I just want to say, I feel I need to make good. Folks, if you haven't subscribed to Danny Staten, all of his channels, he's got some new ones out too that are excellent. Please do. Dan, feel free to start throwing links in the description below. And please forgive me for not including you in my channel supporters. And while we're at it, You guys are all amazing. I mean, not all of you have channels, but you're all very, very supportive. So again, please, this is a true story. I was actually at a wedding once, and the groom made the horrific mistake of saying, and I'd like to thank a bunch of people who are really indispensable to my life who are here tonight. And he named like, and I never expected him to name me. I just never expected him to name everybody but me. He literally went around the room and said, I want to thank this folks and this folks. He even called a few of them on stage, like it was like some type of awards banquet, not a wedding. And he thanked pretty much all his friends except those of us who were sitting at this one table. I don't know why. Didn't really talk too much after his wedding, but he might as well have said, everybody except this table here, consider yourself thanked. Yes, if you're not sitting here, thank you for being here tonight. It's funny because I've talked to hundreds of people since then too, and is it proper for the bride and groom to start thanking people at a wedding as if it's like some type of awards banquet, and everyone's like, no. But anyway, live and learn. So anyway, yep, Lance remembers Zoom as well. Cindy says, that's what I asked. Was it ever on Saturday mornings? I asked Dave to do a video on it. Again, because again, it was filmed in Boston, but they shared it with PBS stations across the country. Some may have aired it on Saturday mornings. I watched it after school, but I do remember the show and I loved it. Jimmy Neutron says, barely remember the 70s one, but I do remember the one from the 90s. Yeah, as I said, they kept bringing it back. Sean Innes has a question or a comment here. He says, for some reason, I was reading about Harlan Ellison production. It had Danny Kaye, may have been his last performance. I think it was called Last Hour, The Last Hour, or whichever, of the Paladin. Yes, I watched Zoom too. I am not familiar with the Harlan Ellison work. I'll have to look into it. I know he suffered from writer's block for like the last 30 years of his life and kept trying to break the cycle, but had varying degrees of success. Cindy D says, thank you, Thrash. Tracy Rothmeyer says, SASE. Danny Staten says, greetings from South Carolina. Because Zoom was weekdays, Cindy. Apparently in your area too. We just jumped again. Here we go. Crossing the Door says, I think Dave works now. Yes, he did. He's quasi out of semi-retirement. I didn't get all the deets, but yes, he is working again. Danny Skaten says, I have arrived. And it's so good to have you with us. Liz Chapin says, looking forward to next Sunday. Yes, next Sunday, 1 p.m. Thrash time. Please join us on Tug's channel for it's a continuation of the 90s action, isn't it? Well, that's what I got stuck in my noggin. If it's something different, it's something 90s film, that's for sure. Oh, and Dan has given us another leg from his blog as well. Lance Given says, send me the link, Tug. Okay. And he says, Tug says, we'll do, of course. Oh, and the Daily Blog shared. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Jimmy Neutron says, just got finished with Where Are All the People? Well, I'm sorry, Where Have All the People Gone? With Peter Graves. Yes, I saw that one years ago. You can still find that one on YouTube. Zublik says, Zoom was a watered-down version of The Electric Company with an all-kid cast. But, of course, that was the cool thing about The Electric Company is a lot of the stars were kids, so sometimes it would be adults. Morgan Freeman being one of them. It would be Rita Moreno was on for at least part of it, doing sketch comedy, and sometimes it would have kids doing sketch comedy. It was very cool. Lance Jamin says, or Incubus. I believe I've seen that. Sounds familiar. Tracy Rothmeyer says, Duel used to be a forgotten movie with Dennis Weaver. When I catch up, if you haven't heard that story, I will tell it. Yes, Danny Stan's starting to give some of his links. Cindy D says, I just binged 8 is enough, Lance. Now it's I Love Lucy. I love both of those shows. Tug says, thanks as always, Danny. You rock. Cindy D says, The Electric Company was great too. It certainly was. As it says, I remember watching Duel when it first broadcast on ABC. 74, I want to say. Lance Chafin says, yes, Cindy, I love to be TV and you. Oh, that's sweet. Tug says, Duel is fantastic. I wish I could consider it sci-fi so I could give it the full Tug coverage. Go with it. Go with it. He does soup up his truck. So he does use technology to advance the plot. That's science fiction. Wajimeen is in the house. Wajimeen, hello, everyone. Wajimeen, hello to you, by the way. And if you haven't checked out his series on wedding jokes, you've got to. They are amazing, absolutely hysterical. And I just jumped again, so I'm gonna just backtrack just a little bit. I'm gonna try to race through these so I can try to catch up. But it looks like a lot of people are joining the party, which is always nice. And let's see, Jimmy Neutron. I did enjoy the TV movie, The Lottery. I don't think I saw that one. Zuplik says, Newsflash, Masterpiece Theater is produced in Boston. I knew that. Alistair Cook. Well, he's been gone for years, but yes. Liz Javen says, Boston, also a great rock band. It certainly was. It certainly was. Ken Wilkinson says, good evening, Bob. Ken, good evening to you, too. By the way, remember, next time you're on Cape Cod, come by my Italian restaurant. It's called De Palma. It's in Yarmouth, not far from where you were the other day. Please. Zublik says, so is Nova. Jimmy Neutron says, most PBS shows are filmed in Boston. Most of the better ones. Let's just see. Yes, Tug says it is 90s action next week. Cindy D says, I'll be at church, but I'll listen to the replay, guys. It's very sweet of you. Oh, my flock is everywhere is here. Sarah, hello, Sarah. I'm so glad you could make it tonight. She says hi, Pawns, and hi to everyone. Sarah, it's so great to have you here. Sarah's been putting out some really, really good stuff lately, by the way, on her My Flock is Everywhere channel, by the way. I love that new music post you had up just the other day. It was very, very, very slick and innovative, I think is the word I'm groping for. Emil Mills, pardon me. Emil Mills says, Tug, I resemble that remark. Danny says, hello, Sarah, with an H. Oh, is it Sarah with an H or Sarah with no H? I thought it was no H. If I've been spelling your name wrong all these years, please forgive me. And Gary Carpenter says, hey there, everyone, I'm back. Yes, Gary, did you get my message with my email address? Oh, by the way, folks, you can find my email address on my YouTube channel under the section marked About. But those of you who have trouble with that, let me know and I'll put it in a comment or something somewhere, by the way. But Gary, let me know if you haven't gotten it. Sean Innes says, what was the secret language on Zoom? Fubby Wubby or some such. Yeah, Fubby Wubby. They actually did have a name for it. We just called it Pig Latin. Shabai for Benz. I'll just see. I think I'm almost caught up. Or I was. I thought I was. Give me a second. Oh, yeah. Oh, Sarah says, Dan, it's Sara, LOL. Thank you. Thank you. I thought I'd been spelling it wrong this whole time. One time, so long ago, when we were all just starting out, Danny called Dave Sandstorm. And for a millisecond, I'm like, have I been getting it wrong all these years? I'm a fool. Emma Miller says, I just downloaded Netflix. My life as I know it is now over. Oh, no, you'll find Netflix will be indispensable to you. Oh, Danny Stan says, auto spell flocked me. Tug says, you missed Tracy being named Racy. She has embraced it. I love it. I love it. A lot of people having fellowship, saying hello to each other. Emily says, aren't all weddings jokes, but a bump. Jimmy Neutron says they used some footage from Duel and put it in the Incredible Hulk. I believe that they were always borrowing from each other on the networks. using it as stock footage. Cindy D says, my daughter wants Netflix, but doesn't want to pay the $15. LOL. It's worth every penny of it. We have Netflix and we watch it routinely. Daryl Johnson is in the house. He says, Bob, my other brother, Daryl, how you doing, bro? Let's just see. I think now I'm almost caught up. I'm going to race a little faster because a lot of people are saying hello to each other. Retro Nerd Girl is in the house. So good to see you. Um, uh, Again, absolutely. I want to thank everyone. I was watching the Flash Gordon in replay, and you guys said some absolutely amazingly nice things about me to your people. I want to thank you, by the way. You guys are always saying such nice things about me, and I really appreciate all of them. Let's just see. Texas RNG. I'm looking forward to the review you dropped today. Retro Nerd Girl is, oh, she's just saying hi to everyone doing the ats. I thought it was the world's biggest link. Oh, by the way, one more thing, Retro Nerd Girl, while I'm thinking of it. When I was watching your show on Saturday morning cartoons, I've got to actually, you know what you do where you like write things down? I've got to take notes as I watch it. I realize that afterwards because a lot of things that you're in reference to, I could give you crash courses on. Because I forgot some of the titles off the top of my head. Rocket Robin Hood is the one I can remember off the top of my head. But she's like, I'll have to check on that one. And I'm like, oh, I know that one. I know that one. So I will, from now on, when I watch your post and replay, I will take notes and try to pass on relevant information in manageable bites. Neutron John says the lottery was a book turned into a movie about conformity run amok. Why is this ringing a bell? I'm having a really tough time separating it from Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, but what you're talking about, I'm gonna have to check this out. Sarah says I made all videos, but not music. There, the one with the cat. There wasn't really slick background music to that. I was watching one video you made with it was sort of like a cat um computer generated moving around, and there was some really slick background music to it. Was that not your music? Anyway, I'll rewatch the video. Similar for trying to do two things at once. But yes, I have been checking out your posts and will continue to. Thank you. And sorry for the confusion. I've been doing so much work on YouTube. Maybe I may have confused you. You did have one about a cat, at least, right? Because again, I think I might be just mixing some two together. By the way, Keithy says Retro Nerd Girl is in the house too. She certainly is. Ken Wilkinson says, good evening, Retro Nerd Girl. Emily Miller says, Cindy, I might just keep it for a month and sub to something else next month. A lot of people do that. Oh, I think I'm caught up. Almost. Well, almost. Nope. I was a little further back than I thought. My Flag says I'm back on Unlimited StreamYard again, so we're a go, Dan and Pawns. That's great. That's great. And with my new tech savvy, I'll actually be able to actually contribute. Zubley says, I remember Sky King was broadcast on Saturdays. Daryl John says, hit the like button, please. That would be great. Dave's giving another links. Corey's comedy channels here, says Thrash. So good to see you. Hello to all. Corey, again, so glad to have you here. Again, Danny, please give a link. He's been putting out some great videos as late. I love the new stuff. Gary Carver says Pig Latin oink oink. Tracy Montminer says Ooby Dooby Zoom. Yes, Ooby Dooby Zooby. Shabai Evans. Zubik says Shenanigans was also a board game by Milton Bradley. Oh, Liz Javens RNG wins the next Watch Party. Zubik says, I remember the kids' show Shenanigans. Oh, yeah, that's why you mentioned it. The game. Okay, now that I've gone back, now I'm going to go forward. Uh, Crossing the Door says Shenanigans is also the restaurant from Waiting. Oh, good catch. Did give it the link. Emily says, I forgot Manifest was on Netflix. Ron Unprepared is here. Says, hello, everyone. Uncle Joe, so good to see you. Corey Company Channel says, I'm number 12 with the legs. Yeehaw. Retro Nerd Girl says, Danny, thank you for sharing my link. Oh, my vlog is everywhere says BRB going to share out. Thank you so much. And also says BRB. Texas once down the British baking path. Forever will it dominate your destiny. Really, I will bear that in mind. Sean Innes says, thanks, Tracy. I'll be dubbing. It's been 4 decades since Zoom. LOL. So it says Hot Wheels premiered. Had a sister show called Skyhawks. I did not know that. Oh, Trailer Reminder says, we love you, Robert. Thank you. Thank you. Gary Cameron says, Z, somehow I don't remember Skyhawk, but I do remember Silverhawks. Ozzy says Hot Wheels was canceled because the FCC declared it a commercial for the toy. Yeah. They did that with something else later on. I forget the show, a science fiction show. I remember it had the same problem. Wow, I keep jumping. You guys are really on the ball tonight. Tug says BRB got to put the channel to bed. Channeled to bed. Got to put the child to bed. Oh, RNG says the love is well deserved. Thank you so much. You're very very kind. Cindy D says I loved the Pink Panther and the Super Friends and Mr. Magoo on Saturday mornings. Can't miss Fat Albert as well. So universal. That reminds me. Gary Carpenter. The list you provided was absolutely outstanding. There's going to be a few mentions to him tonight, but I could do an entire series on that list. Let's see what else we could go on here. Zuko says my faintest memory was a cartoon entitled King Leonardo and His Subjects. What's his name? Did the voice to that? Sheldon Leonard, best known as the bartender in It's a Wonderful Life. That's it. Oh, you pixies, go through the door or through the window. Yes, he actually did the voice of that. He had a show in the 70s called Big Eddie. But I do remember that show, not in first run, but in later runs, of course. Corey's Gummy Channel says 17 people online. Yeehaw. That's my lucky number. Excellent. Hope it's lucky for me, too. Richard New Girl says Gary Carpenter sounds good. I should. Gary Cameron says, Cindy, you need to see my little list in the text for Mike Sylvia. Yeah, it was like 30 long. I'm sorry, Mike Silva, not Mike Sylvia. I went to school with Mike Sylvia, so I'm always trying to call him Mike Sylvia. My flock says, shared out pawns. You are based, Sarah. You are very based. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Jimmy Neutron says, you got the author. That's the book. Marilyn Manson did a video based on the movie. You got the author, and that's the book. Marilyn Manson did a video. Based on the movie. Oh, so it is the Shirley Jackson. Oh, okay. I see. So it's not that they run amok. It's that they're, instead of being Puritans, they're like some type of druid religion and still perform human sacrifice. I don't want to give the game away, but okay. So yes, I do remember that. All right, good. Daryl Jones says 19 watching and only 14 likes. We can do better. We sure can. I'm skipping down because I'm going to get to the bottom if it kills me. Uncle Joe says, I am at work, so probably will only be able to listen. You mentioned that earlier, by the way. So more than understand. Joe, I'll try to keep the conversation going on for both of us. Keithy says, Corey is good no matter how stupid a joke I sent him. He's always tells me it's funny. Yeah, he appreciates the dad jokes as much as I do, and the good ones. Gary Carter says, "Look at Thrasher text. Look at Thrasher text. Thrasher. I look at Thrasher and my text. Well, I'm sure that'll dawn on me at some point." Corey says, "Danny is the man." Zublik says, "Shenanigans was hosted by Stubby K." Why is that ringing a bell? I don't remember the show, but it sounds familiar. Uh, it's like I'm racking my brains, but well, I'm sure it'll dawn me through. I'll do a little digging on it. I'm sure I'll find info about it. Let's just see what else we get going on here. Liz Javen says, okay, RNG, everywhere you go, there you are. Barkaroo said that. Everywhere you go, there you are. What is this? It's your hand, Buckaroo. More text from Danny. Thank you very much. WK was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Excellent. My Flux says LOL. Ziplik says, will there be a trivia covering Saturday morning cartoons and kid shows, T-Pons? Yes, there will. Yes, there will. I'll get to it in just a little bit. I want to try to catch up on everyone's Q&A. For example, Lisa Fields is here. Lisa Fields says, hi, Thrash. Hi, everyone. So good to see you, Lisa Fields. And actually, you know what I'm going to do this. Keithy says, where's John Collins? I miss inquisitive questions. Tug says she's named Sylvia Thrash. What a coincidence. No, I went to school with a boy whose last name was Sylvia. John Sylvia, I think it was, not Silva. A lot of people saying hello to Lisa and her returning the favor. Zublik says Sheldon Leonard also produced the Dick Van Dyke Show. He did a lot of TV producing at some point. Lance Javen says I binge watched the 2 and 3 seasons of Facts of Life on Tubi. Wow, I'm old. We all are. Oh, Comic Book Guy says another like. Lisa Field says, hey, Cinder D. It's been a while. Yes, it has, but we're very, very, very happy to see you. Zublik says, and yet the FCC allowed G.I. Joe on television. Oh, and He-Man? You know, and I still think if Thunder the Sundar the Barbarian had lasted, he would have gotten that whole Thundar toy line. Only instead of high fantasy, it would have been post-apocalyptic. And by golly, I think I'm caught up. Just give me Keithy says, hi Siri, you're getting better at these trivia questions. Should say Zeroplex, but trivia can't do it on Siri. So you know what? Retro says I love Thundar so much. I really did too. Shotna says, Lance, my mantra is I'm not too old. I'm not too old. OMG, I'm not too old. Oh, remember the old horror movies? They'd be like, to avoid from fainting, you're supposed to repeat to yourself, it's just a movie, it's just a movie, it's just a movie. The chanting, actually, I found was more scarier than most of the trailer sequences. Gary Cameron says, Mae Questel played both Olive Oil and Betty Boop. I think I knew that. So anyway, before we do the trivia game, I do want to tell this Duel story because it's a good one. As you folks all know, Richard Matheson wrote Duel, and it's actually quasi-based on a true story. Many, many years ago, Richard Matheson and his friend were coming home from an early round of golf when, for absolutely no reason, this dude in a truck started hassling them. He would he'd come to an abrupt stop and they'd have to, he'd try to run them off the road. They'd get in front of him and he'd keep bumping, tapping their bumper. And no matter how fast they went in there, it was a Cadillac, I think. He somehow managed to keep up, which I thought was really, really odd for a truck, and really harassed them. And he was very distressed at the end of this ordeal, so much so that he he and his friend went to a police station to report the incident. And when they went in, he couldn't figure out that none of the cops seemed to have any time for them. In fact, one got like absolutely abrupt and said, "Why are you bothering us for?" And they go, "We were almost killed by this truck driver. You've got to help us." And the truck driver and the police officer says, "You haven't caught the news this morning, have you?" And they go, "Well, no, we weren't listening to the news. We're too busy trying to stay alive." And he goes, "The president's just been shot." It was the morning JFK was assassinated, and every police precinct in the country was on some type of high alert. So suffice it to say, they didn't have assets to try to find uh, truck drivers that clearly took one too many amphetamine pills that morning. But again, to as a catharsis, Matheson wrote Duel to try to cope with this in the same way Brian Aldiss wrote Graybeard. Watch my video on that to understand that. Oh, a lot of people worried about getting old. I just accepted it. But anyway, we're at 19 and we have 19 likes. I always say around 20-ish. I want to read this one by Emily Miller before I get started. A lady tried to run me off the road last week, then followed me home, blaming me for not letting her merge. I gave her room, but she didn't take it. What a snot rag. Oh, Dennis Delio, sorry, is here. Says Sheldon Leonard did the voice of Linus the Lionhearted, not King Leonardo. You are so right. I'm very, very sorry. I had it. Linus the Lionhearted is what I was picturing. So do forgive, but you are absolutely correct. Thank you. Oh, and welcome to the party. Please stay for trivia. Oh, and Keith, he says, Corey, does the comedy union know you're here tonight? I don't know if we count. Anyway, I'm going to start again. It's going to be on Saturday morning TV shows, all multiple choice. And as always, I'm going to read them in no particular order. Oh, and I think what we'll do is we'll stop and get scores at the halfway mark. But if you want to throw your scores in as we go, that's fine. But that's when I'll stop to check them. Okay. Question number 10, as always, in no particular order. The Pink Panthers' crime-fighting associate was A. Police Chief O'Hara, B. Cool McCool, C. Inspector Clouseau, or D. The Keystone Cops. Again, and this is in the Pink Panther cartoon show. The Pink Panther's crime-fighting associate was A. Police Chief O'Hara, B. Cool McCool, C. Inspector Clouseau, or D. The Keystone Cops. And boy, you guys, Emily Miller says B. No, I loved Cool McCool. That was another Saturday morning kid show. But nope, it's C. And it seems everyone else got that one. Sorry, Emily. So I know where everyone else's scores are. But moving on to number 9. I do a lot of these, which one is not, because it seems to give people a more of a fun chance. Which of these were not a team in the Laugh Olympics? Was it A, the Huckleberry Hounds, B, the Yogi Yahooies, C, the Really Rottens, or D, the Scooby Doobies? Again, in the Saturday morning cartoon show, The Laugh Olympics, which of these were not a team involved in the Laugh Olympics? A, the Huckleberry Hounds, B, the Yogi Yahooies, C, the Really Rottens, or D, the Scooby Doobies? Ooh. Yeah, see, I thought this one was going to be an easy one. I'll give you people a couple. I'm guessing from your icon, my cool dog, what your guess is going to be. Uh, wow. Oh, good. Someone finally got it. Gary. Gary. Actually, if anybody else said A, you got it too. But the first A I saw was Gary. No, the three teams were the Yogi Yahooies, the Scooby Doobies, and the Really Rottens. They were the bad team that nobody ever rooted for. Oh, Bobby Renee is here. Hey, Bobby. Haven't seen you in a while. So glad you could join us. Thanks. He says, I thought this was the Laugh Olympics. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Yeah, Huckleberry was actually on, I believe, the Yogi Yahooies. But yeah, the Huckleberry Hounds was not one of the teams. Moving on to number 8. Which 60s TV series did not have its own Saturday AM adaptation? A. Gilligan's Island. B. The Addams Family. C. The Brady Bunch. Or D. Bewitched. I shall repeat. Which of these 60s TV series did not have its own Saturday AM adaptation? A. Gilligan's Island. B. The Addams Family. C. The Brady Bunch. Or D. Bewitched. And everyone's getting this one. Yes, it's Bewitched. There were a couple of crossovers. Actually, the one I can think of off the top of my head is the Flintstones of all things. But yes, Bewitched never had its own Saturday morning TV series. So yes, those of you said D got it. Question 7. Lancelot Link was a spoof of what popular 60s style TV show? A. World War II comedies. B. Secret agent shows. C. Cop shows. Or D. Teenage hijinks. Tug says, say what now? I shall repeat. Lancelot Link was a spoof of what popular 60s style TV show? Oh, and if you want, you know what? I shall elaborate. Lancelot Link, it was Secret Chimps. And it was basically a show where they had a bunch of chimpanzees running around in funny costumes and added dialogue to it and turned it into a TV show. I used to watch it with my father. I thought it was trippy back then. But in any event, the choices are A, World War II comedies, B, secret agents, C, cop shows, or D, teen hijinks. And Emily said, never heard of it? Oh yeah, it was popular on Saturday mornings. I remember kids in my school used to have lunch boxes and stuff for it. Lance Javen says, "Get smart." I'm going to accept that because yes, it was spoofing the secret agent shows, and so for any of you who said B, got it right. Lance Javen says, "Not me, guys." And again, Tug says he hasn't heard of it either. Oh, Sean Ennis, he had the lunchbox. Yeah, a kid in my class had one too. I thought it was like one of the coolest things. Moving forward to number 6. Which 60s youth music group did not have its own Saturday morning TV show? Was it A, the Jackson 5, B, the Osmonds, C, the Monkees, or D, the Partridge Family? I shall repeat. Which 60s youth music group did not have its own Saturday morning cartoon show? A, the Jackson 5, B, the Osmonds, C, the Monkees, or D, the Partridge Family? Cindy says 60s. Yes, all those groups came out in the 60s. They were certainly around in the 70s, but they all started in the 60s. I believe. I could be wrong. It is my understanding. But of the ones, regardless of when they started, which one did not? I got a bunch of people saying the Osmonds, and sadly, no, the Osmonds did have their own Saturday morning cartoon show. But I see a lot of people with the right answer. The Monkees. Yes. See, there was actually talk after their show was canceled. There was actually talk of a Saturday morning cartoon show because the Beatles had some pretty good traction with theirs, and they thought they would actually use the voices of the actual monkeys as opposed to some English actors that did the voices for the Beatles. But it never came to fruition. And okay, let's start doing scores. So, Shauna says I missed that question. Zuplex is 4 for 5. Excellent. Tug is 2 for 4. Which question did you miss, Tug? Or did you well, in any event. Um Cindy D says, what about the Beatles? The Beatles had a short-lived cartoon show. The actual Beatles didn't do the voices for it, but it was about them. Wajamin is 3 for 5. Tug says, or was it 5? Yeah, let's go with 5. John Ennis is 3 for 5. Emily says I would have been all over a monkey's cartoon. Me too. Tug is 2 of 5. City D is 4 for 5. Keith is 4 or 5. Everything. Lisa Fields is 3 of 5. Tug's is miscounted. Tom Lemry. Oh, it says hello, Thrash, and hi to everybody. Tom, so glad you could make it. Sadly, we're halfway through the trivia game. You're welcome to pick up and do the first half and replay. Evelyn says 2 of 5, maybe. I don't know. We'll give it to you 2 of 5. That's fine. Gary Cameron says the Hardy Boys had a cartoon series. They did, but for some reason I watched it on Sundays. They showed it on Sundays in my area. Dennis DeLeo says 4 of 5. Gary Carpenter is 5 of 5. Dilly Dan Blog says all excellent. Zublik says buffering, lots of it. Is anyone else getting buffering? First, I've heard of it. Les Chafin says the Hardy Boys had a creepy intro. Is that where they sing? Hey, hey, here come the Hardys. Hey, hey, we're having a party. I don't know if it's creepy. It's like something out of a Hammer film. So yeah, I suppose it was creepy. Texas no buffering here. Bobby Renee says, I won because the only winning move is not to play. War games. Excellent line drop. Let's Jeffrey got 2 war games, Bobby. It's excellent. Line drop. Gary Cameron says, Elsie, that was a TV show, not a cartoon series. Good point. But I'm doing Saturday morning stuff, Ahu. Zublik says lousy connection. Oh, I see. Very sorry. But anyway, moving forward, we should pick up again. We're going to pick up with question 5. Who was not a super friend? A. Spider-Man. B. Batman. C. Wonder Woman. Or D. Aquaman. I shall repeat. Who was not a super friend? A. Spider-Man. B. Batman. C. Wonder Woman. Or D. Aquaman. Pardon me, I'm getting parched. A lot of people seem to have gotten this one. No, Lisa, I'm sorry. Batman was a super friend, but a lot of you were getting it. It's A, and I remember being pissed as a kid because loved, I loved the Ralph Bakshi Spider-Man, and I couldn't figure out why my favorite superhero, Spider-Man, wasn't a super friend. And Lewis says, how could a Marvel character be a super friend? They got the rights to do it. Moving forward. Who was not one of Flash Gordon's friends? Was it A. Voltan of the Hawkmen, B. Prince Baron of the Forest People, C. Thun of the Lion Men, or D. Lothar of the Hill People? I shall repeat. Who was not one of Flash Gordon's friends? Was it A. Voltan of the Hawkmen, B. Prince Baron of the Forest People, C. Thun of the Lion Men, or D. Lothar of the Hill People. Live and Set Ending, when did you sneak in here, man? Hey, Live and Set Ending, good to see you. I loved your post on Orville Redenbacher, by the way. That is just, I mean, and thank you, by the way, friends, for the question. In fact, it was his grandson, not his nephew, who did commercials with him at the end. Owen City's going, Flash. Ah. And Doug goes, LOL, Lothar. Yeah, does everyone else remember? Yeah, Lothar of the Hill People was actually a running SNL bit with Mike Myers. But yeah, all the three were, of course, friends of Flash Gordon. Although most of whom tried to kill him at one point or another. But such is life. Gary Garbus says the same guy that did Spider-Man voice was Hermie the Elf. You know what? So I heard that somewhere. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'd completely forgotten that. But Gary Garbus says Lothar was Defenders of the Earth. Why not? Oh, Lance Javen says Lothar was a villain on the Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Oh, by the way, Mike Silva asked me, by the way, he wanted to know which Power Ranger, because there's many incarnations, of the original uh, Power Rangers TV show, the Pink Ranger, whose name eludes me for the moment. Anyway, I went to high school with her. I forget her name. I knew her brother better than her. His name also eludes me. We're going back 30, 40 years, people. But he used to own a car dealership down from the street from a shop I worked at. He used to come in from time to time. Super, super nice guy. I remember her as being nice too, by the way. But again, I knew her less than I knew him. But yeah, I did go to school with the Pink Ranger, whose name is eluding me. But moving forward. Oh, thank you, Tom. Ashley Johnson. Thank you. Tug says the Power Rangers was after my time. Well, me too. But I just happen to know somebody who's in it. Anyway, moving forward, let's just see what else we got here. Question 3. Captain Caveman's vocation was what? Was he A, crime fighter, B, a sea captain, C, a private eye, or D, commander of a prehistoric starship? I shall repeat. Oh, Gary Hansen is here. Says, is Gary here? Well, going by all available data, I would say yes. Gary, welcome to the party. So good to have you. Sadly, we're almost over with the trivia game, but you're welcome to play the last few. Tom Lemery says, I think that was Denny Dark was the voice. Cindy D. I missed. Oh, they were good. I'm sorry, I missed it. By the way, there was a voice they were speculating on. But anyway, oh, a lot of people saying D. I love it. Apparently, Steve said D. But anyway, I haven't repeated the question. Captain Caveman's vocation is what? Was he an A, crime fighter, B, sea captain, C, private eye, or D, commander of a prehistoric spaceship? And most of you did get the right answer. It was A. But I tell you what I'm going to do, because most crime fighting involves the solving of mysteries, I'm going to accept C as well. So if those of you who said private eye, give yourself a point. But yes, technically crime fighter. But he had a group of mystery solvers that worked with him, by the way. So you know what? Give it to you. And moving forward now to question 2. In the, of course, Yogi the Bear was in many cartoon series, but in the cartoon show Yogi's Gang, Yogi was in search of what? A heart of gold, B, a perfect place, C, El Dorado, or D, Atlantis. I shall repeat. What was the Yogi Gang searching for? A, the heart of gold, B, a perfect place, C, El Dorado, or D, Atlantis? Oh, Gary Carpenter. You gave. Oh no, I'm sorry, not Gary Carpenter. I'm always doing that. Sorry, Gary. Gary Hansen. You gave your super identity away. By the way, he said he's Batman. So I'm sorry you kind of outed yourself as a crime fighter on this show. And Sean Drew, welcome to the party. By the way, I hadn't seen you earlier in tonight's chat, but you also have got the right answer. A perfect place and a Keithy says a picnic basket. Half credit, but yeah, a lot of you got that right. That was the whole premise of the pilot episode, the two-part episode, where they originally take off in the ark to find the perfect place. We're on our way to a perfect place, the perfect place. And so those of you who said B, you got it. Liz Chafin says Amy Jo Johnson was the OG Pink Ranger Thrash. Yes, thank you. I had forgotten the young lady's name, but yes, we went to school together about something approaching 40 years ago. Oh, and the number one, was who never hosted a Saturday morning uh, kids TV show? Was it A, the Harlem Globetrotters, B, Paul Lynde, C, the Hudson Brothers, or D, Charles Nelson Riley? And I shall repeat. Who never hosted a Saturday morning kids show? A, the Harlem Globetrotters, B, Paul Lynde, C, the Hudson Brothers, or D, Charles Nelson Riley? Tom Lemery says, I was close, Thresh. Yes, you were. Oh, a lot of people saying C. Oh, Sean Drew says E. All of the above. A lot of people saying C. No, the Hudson Brothers actually did have their own Saturday morning variety show. But for those of you who put B, yes, Paul Lynde. While Paul Lynde was a TV perennial, at this point, he never hosted his own TV show. I believe Charles Nelson Riley had two. And of course, the Harlem Globetrotters had their own show as well. Oh, and now we can have scores. Emily Miller screams, Tug, how can you not? How can you not what? Oh, Tug goes, I don't know who most of those people are. And that's how can you not know how most of those people are? He's substantially younger than we are, Emily. That's how. Zublix is 4 for 7, which is odd because we had 10 questions. Did you abstain for 3 on ideological bases? Keithy got 6 out of 10. I got murdered in the last 5 questions. Very sorry. Watching me 6 of 10. Cindy D is 8 for 4. Tug's like, I'm more of a movie guy. Does that annoy you? Sean is 7 of 10. Tug got 5 of 10. Gary Garber says Paul Lynde was Uncle Arthur. He was. It's I think some of his best work. Although the game show Hollywood Squares has got to be his best. Tom Miller says Charles Nelson Riley was on Lidsville, right? Yes, he was Voodoo. Voodoo. The power of voodoo. Hoodoo, you do. But yes, he was the bad guy in Lidsville. He also did Uncle Croc's Rock Block. And there's something else I remember him from, but I can't recall. Gary Carpenter's 10 for 10. Sean Drew is 1 for 2. Well, 50% success. Lisa Fields is 7 out of 10. Liven Zedin got here late. It is 2 of 3. Corey's Comedy Channel is like 0 for 10. I'm sorry. Next time I'll give more hints. Dennis Dello is, I'm sorry, Dennis DeLeo, I think is how you pronounce it, is 8 of 10. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Emily Miller, I think I ended with 6 of 10 or maybe 5 of 10. I'll give you 6 of 10. Oh, yeah, because remember I gave you the private eye one. Shannon says Gary Carpenter for the win. Emily Miller says he was Tom. Cindy says 8 out of 10 Thrash. Very proud of all of you. Gary Carpenter says, Tug says give it up for Gary with the bouquet. Yeah, Gary, I'm very, very, very proud of you. I mean, you might be the first 10 for 10 I ever got. and again, I'm very proud of you. And let me know if you got the email okay. By the way, keep me posted. Paul Lind was the Hooded Claw. Sean Drew says Paul Lind was the Hooded Claw. Why can't I place that? But I'm sure you're right. Thank you, Sean. I love little bits of trivia like that. Tom Lemry, I think I was 4 for 5. Excellent, very proud. Lance Javen says, "Yay, Gary. Way to go, buddy." Gary Carpenter says, "Keith E., you need to see more cartoon series." Tom Lemry says, "Match Game, Charles Nelson Riley." Yes, he was a perennial on Match Game. Just see. Les Javen says, "Did not play 0 for 10. Well, no, don't give yourself a failing score. Just you say you abstained. No worries. No worries. Dennis Leo says, "Paul Lind was the bad guy on Penelope Pit Stop." He was? I did not know that. I swear I've never known that. Wow, that's a great piece of trivia. I know he was the Rat Templeton in Charlotte's Web, but I never knew that. Very, very good. Thank you. Gary Carpenter says Match Game, Cannonball Run 1 and 2. Les James says I played in my mind, Cindy. Steve says Paul was the center square. He was, and they actually wrote special questions for him, so he could have a gag writer come up with answers. That was the thing about Hollywood Squares. It wasn't cheating if the contestants knew the answers, because they could lie or tell the truth as they saw fit. The stakes were if the contestant decided if they were right or wrong. I remember there was one where the question was which has more vitamins, orange carrots or purple carrots, and the person they asked says, "I remember reading somewhere that purple carrots have slightly more vitamins in the keratin," or something along those lines. And of course, the contestant disagreed, and Peter Marshall started laughing because there's no such thing as purple carrots, you moron. Life in Settings says Peter Marshall is now 97 years old. Yes, he's holding steady. Cindy D says, "I know you watched Saturday morning cartoons, Lance." Gary Cameron says, "Thank you. Yes, I did get your email. Very good, very good. Thank you, thank you." And Miller says Paul Lind was precious. He really was. I remember I was like in middle school when he died. I was devastated. Zubli says, "When did Paul Lind die?" 82. 82. Just over 40 years ago. Retro Nerd Girl says, "I abstained too." It's quite all right, quite all right. Some people don't like trivia games. Some people do. I seem to be falling into the zone, so I'm going to keep doing it at least for a while. Gary Carpenter says Z 80. Was it 80? I thought it was 82. You might be right though. Sorry. Mike Silva. Oh, here you are. Mike Silva says Death Race 2000 watching the movie on Tubi TV. Oh yes, and I don't know if you were here at the time, but remember you asked me which Power Ranger that I knew. It was Amy Jo Johnson, who was the Pink Ranger in the original show. By the way, Mike, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And just gonna skip down. Cindy says, "Don't Paul Lind have a short-lived TV show?" A couple of them. He had a couple shows. Peter Marshall actually spoke to that once. He said that Paul Lind was like creme brulee, and he was great in small doses. So if he was a supporting character in a TV series, people loved him. But if he was like the focus of the show, it became too much. I always say it's like a bowl of marinara. You put marinara on an Italian dish and it enhances the flavor. You try to sit down and eat a bowl of marinara sauce like it was tomato soup, it's going to make you sick. Well, maybe not make you sick. The acid will certainly make you think twice before you do it again, but it just wouldn't be recommended. Tom Lemmy says he was never credited. I'm not sure which one he was credited for, but I'll take your word for it. Keith, he says, mentioned baked beans. He was always comments after your shows. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes, that's another person I've always meant to give a shout out to. Baked Beans can never make it to my live show. I believe want to say he lives in Germany, which is what, an 8-hour difference between here and Germany, maybe 9 even. Um, we'll call it 8. But he always watches the replay and always comes up with some really amazing, awesome comments. And Keith's like, you never acknowledge him. And well, I mean, I do in the comments section, but Baked Bean, I want to proactively thank you for your engagement in the replay and great comment. Oh, and a number of other people who always manage to can't make the show but do in replay. I'm sure Alex will probably watch this one in replay because it's 1 o'clock his time. So he does sometimes make it, but he can't always. But Keith, thank you for reminding me. Corey says, if carrots are so good for your eyes, why are there so many dead rabbits on the side of the road? It doesn't improve their motor skills. Mike Silva says, every Hanna-Barbera cartoon ever made. That's a project. That's a career. Cindy says, I ate Cookie Crisp once. I remember that cereal. Jane's giving us another link. A couple of them, it seems. Where's the live? Oh yeah, here it is. Levin's Editing says, I'm going to do bingo on my next live feed. That sounds like a blast. Let me, I'm back to work now, so I'm not as available. But you want another help with a live chat sometime, Steve? Please just let me know. Gary Cameron says, I loved his monologues and his Halloween special. The Paul Lynde Halloween special is something that everyone who remembers it big. They know where they were when they were watching it. They remember who they were watching it with. The Paul Lynde Halloween special is become part of the zeitgeist, I would like to say. Daryl John says he died on January 10th, 1982. Thank you, Daryl. Zublik says, yes, he did, Cindy. It was called The Paul Lynde Show and Temperatures Rising. Yeah, so there were two. Excellent. Thank you. Liz James says, I ate Applejack. Cindy. Tom Memory says, yes, indeed. He was also in Temperature Rising. Thank you. Emily says, gotta run, guys. Wife is home, and I have Netflix. Love all of you. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much, Miss M. Say hello to the missus from all of us, and take care. Peace. Tug says, I liked Thrash's first few trivia games where I knew most of the answers, but nobody else did. The hubris. Zublik says, then Peter Marshall outlived Paul by 41 years now. Yes. Clean living. I guess Paul lived hard. Mike Silva says, not a fan of Power Rangers Pawns. Thanks for letting me know about Amy Jo Johnson. She was good in Susie Q and Flashpoint. Garrett Carpenter says, Paul Lynde was in Bye Bye Birdie. Yes, in fact, he I believe he started with a stage play. Danny's gave us a link. Thank you. Corey says, Thrash, Danny needs a raise. He's awesome. Isn't he absolutely amazing? Danny, I want to thank you for everything you do for this channel, by the way. Seriously, I want to take some time out and say, Danny, everything you do is absolutely amazing. Again, the first thing I thought of when I started signing up for the computer course is maybe now I can actually have guests on, and you will be the first one, I promise you. The Bigfoot Wild Boy thing we were talking about, that's probably sailed, but there's plenty of other things we could do, and I want to thank you. And please make sure there's links to all your channels in here. Let's see what else we got. A lot of people saying goodnight to Emily. RNG says, I'm spring clean today. The trivia is awesome. I learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much. RNG. Praise from Caesar. Giving a lot of people saying good night to Emily. And well deserved, but I'm just skipping through those comments. Keithy says, I think Baked Beans lives in England. I thought Alice was in England and Baked Beans was in Germany, but they could both be in the UK. You might be right. Let's just see. Mike Silva said something that jumped off the page. So Oh, Mike Silva says, if anybody wants info on any Japanese superhero show, let me know. Thank you. Definitely will do. Sean Drew says, Roger, the alien from American Dads, based on Paul Lynn, voice wise, personality wise too. I always loved him just because of that. Life and Setting says, Gary Carpenter, kids, kids? What's the matter with kids these days? Why can't they be like we were, perfect in every way? Tom Emery says he was never credited in the Penelope pit stop. Oh, that might have been why I never knew he did it. Cindy D says, good night, Retro Nerd Girl. Not sure which of you is leaving as a result, but whomever is leaving, have a great night and thank you so much for joining us. Mike Silva says, Gary, hot girls in Death Ray 2000. There certainly are. Sean Drew says 138 here in the UK. Oh, you're from the UK as well, Mr. Sean? Well, thank you for staying up to watch us. We get a few people from the UK, by the way, and thank you for joining those masses. And Tug says, "Oh, okie dokie, Emily. I'm Eric McGill," which seems weird to say here. I know we all use our tropes, although some people call me Robert. Let's just see, skipping through. Somebody says Paul Lynde is better known for Uncle Arthur of Bewitched. He certainly was. Derek Carpenter says, Z, I break you up, don't I? Emily, Lucifer says good night to Emily. Steve says, get ready. Thrash is going to knock over his background again. What? This background? Ah. Let's just see. A lot of people have little back and forth talk. I'll skip through. Oh, I think I jumped again. Mike Silva says he'll fight for freedom wherever there is trouble. G.I. Joe. Greatest American hero. Excellent. Lance Javen says Thrash, will Ian be on tomorrow? I spoke to him a few hours ago. He does want to do a show tomorrow night at 7:30 on his channel. He wants to do a 90s fashion again, which I thought we'd already covered, but apparently wants to do it again. But you know our shows, much like this show here, it usually turns into a round robin. So just bring your own topic, and I'm sure we'll address all of them. Daryl Johnson says, I'm out. Y'all have a great night. Daryl, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'll probably be wrapping up in a few minutes. Anywho, because it's getting towards 9 o'clock my time. And even though it's school vacation, I got to work early tomorrow morning. But anyway, Daryl, thank you so much for joining us tonight, by the way. I had a great time with you with us, by the way. You are like my cheerleader. Tyler Marie says, speaking of baked beans and England, the word Trump is slang in the UK for passing wind. That's too funny. Gary Carpenter says Ted Cassidy is the voice of Godzilla and Brainiac plus Black Mantra. I did not know that. A lot of people say goodnight to Daryl. Keely says it's the year 1996 here in Tennessee. Liz Jeffy says, guys, about as well. Gang, have a good evening. Lance, pleasure as always. Thank you so much, man. So looking forward to next Sunday. We'll be speaking a lot of each other. We'll be on Tug's channel in the first part of the day, and I'll be doing my show that night. Mike Silva says, Wedge, have you seen any 70s cartoons? Let people say good night. Gary Carpenter says Casey Kasem did Robin and Aqualad and Shaggy. Very good. Yeah, I think you pretty much covered all the bases. Yeah, but he did a lot of voice work back in the day. Steve says I didn't have a GI Joe doll as a kid. My brother did have a Major Matt Mason, the astronaut. I don't remember that one. Sounds cool. Tug says, I could have been a cheerleader, but I don't have the pom poms for it. Gary Cameron says, good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Oh, Mike Silva says, the Black Scorpion movie. I love that movie. I love that movie. Mike Silva says, the G.I. Joe series rocked. I prefer the older Joes, the 11-inch tall plastic ones, although the cartoon shows certainly did have its merits. Okay, and this is a trivia question specifically for Dan. What wrestler had his own G.I. Joe character? There was a professional wrestler back in the day, and he actually had his own G.I. Joe character. If I say much more about him, I'll give the game away. Cindy D says, "Don't Ted Knight? Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't Ted Knight do a voice in Super Friends? Several. He was the narrator. I want to say he was the Joker, not in the Super Friends, but in an earlier Batman cartoon show. But he did a lot of narration. He was the narrator in Journey to the Center of the Earth cartoon, and I'm the short answer is I'm sure he did. I know he did voices for this show. Dennis Gaten says, I had the G.I. Joes when I was 8 years old, not those little ones. But he got the question right. Sergeant Slaughter. Yes, Sergeant Slaughter had his own character in G.I. Joe. Tug says, and knowing is half the battle. The other half is violence. Oh, Tug also got its Slaughter, of course. Tom Murray says, Ted Knight, Ted Baxter did a lot of voice work too. Yeah, as I was just saying, Tom, yes, he certainly did. But thank you for, yes, you were absolutely correct. Oh, and Gary Carpenter says, yes, as the narrator. Thank you. Mike Silva also got the Sergeant Slaughter. Wow, everyone seems to have known about Sergeant Slaughter. I should have made that a trivia question. Everyone would have gotten it. Steve says the governor of Minnesota was the wrestler. That was Jesse Ventura. Different character than Sergeant Slaughter, but yes, he was a professional wrestler. He was actually the rival of my favorite wrestler back in the day when I was a little kid, Tony Atlas, whose autograph I have somewhere buried in my papers. Let's see. Danny's games. I had the 12-inch Joes with the giant Jeep. Oh, I remember that Jeep. And Cindy D says, I thought so, Gary. Thanks. Danny's Gaten also goes on to say, yes, the governor was Jesse Ventura. Mike says, thank God I got a good memory. You have a stunning memory, almost photographic memory. Because I have, my long-term memory is pretty good, but you have an amazing memory, and you should be very proud of that. Remember I said that. Gary Carpenter says, I think Sergeant Slaughter lives here in North Carolina. Oh, huh. I did not know that. I know he's retired. Tug says Jesse ain't got no time to bleed. Yes, he actually said that in the Predator movie. I liked him better as an actor than I did as a wrestler, but of course, was he doing a certain amount of acting in both? Mm-hmm. Oh, and he was in the. I forgot he was in the Running Man. Thank you for reminding me of that. But yes, he was. Tom Memory says Ted was the narrator for most superhero cartoons. He did many voices in the Batman 1968 cartoons. Yeah, he was a Joker, I believe, wasn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong, please, Tom. But I believe he was the Joker in that. Let's just see, skipping down. Mike Silva says, I like the movie Star Crash. Good movie. Tug says, I have a photograph memory too. It's too bad the flash is broken, but a flash, and I can't get the lens cap off, but a bump. Yeah, years ago there was an old saying: "I have a photographic memory, just no film in the camera." Cindy D's laughing. LOL geek. Dennis Gaten says, "Actually, there was two answers to your question. Hulk Hogan was a Joe in 2 episodes with Mr. T. How could I have not known that?" Mr. T and Hulk Hogan were also in G.I. Joe, the cartoon. I'm so ashamed I did not know that. I believe you. I was like, wow. Mike Silva says Joe 90. Joe Mama. Anyway, We still got 17 people. I'm so proud. I'm so impressed. But it's getting towards that time, folks. So tell you what, again, it looks like Ian does want to do a show tomorrow, 7:30 on his channel. If it turns out he has to work late, like last week, I will do a sympathy show. I'll press on solo. We'll do a show in his honor. I have no concept of topic if I did do my own show, but I'm sure we'll have fun. May or may not have trivia, but anyway, again, let's just see what we've got here. Steve says, remember Stretch Armstrong? I had two of them, actually. And the Green Monster thingy. Mike Silva says, live cool doll. Gary Carpenter says, Barbara Gordon has a photographic memory. I did not know that. Cindy D says, night all. Tug says, if I don't make it tomorrow, let Ian know. I send my regards. I certainly will. Corey says, good stuff, Thrash. Stay awesome, friends. Corey, you stay awesome, by the way. You're great. You're the best. So Luke says, what will be ENC's topic for tomorrow? He says he wants to do like 90s fashion, 90s crazes, that type of thing. But again, we always go round robin with his shows. Mike Silva says, welcome back, welcome back, welcome. Kevin Scott 76 says, hey, Thresh. Hey, Kevin, so good to see you. Sadly, we're wrapping things up, but I'm very, very, very glad you made it. Please hit replay if you want to take part in the trivia game. Keith E says, I'll see you in the funny papers, probably, or the obituaries, but a bump. Steve says, as always, Thrash, you are oddly compelling. That might be the greatest compliment I've ever gotten. Thank you, Steve. And Steve, I love the stuff you've been doing lately, by the way. If you haven't gone to Steve's The Laugh and Sad Ending, please do. He just puts out some great, great stuff lately. Again, I love that one on Orville Redenbacher. That was great. Tug says, excellent show tonight, Thrashers. Always a good time with this crowd. It is. And I want to repeat what Tug just said. As I've said every week, you guys are the ones who make this show. I mean, basically, all I do is read the comments. If I'm feeling up to it, I have something funny to interject to your comments. But usually, just your input is what makes the show and the fellowship we all seem to have with each other. And the time just flies by. I mean, that was an hour and a half, like zoom. So anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, be good, be safe, be careful. Hopefully, I'll see all of you tomorrow night. But if not, I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.